We're back again for another edition of Euro Transfer Talk, rounding up all the biggest transfer news in football this week, so let's get into it. With the announcement of Erik Ten Hag as the new Manchester United manager from the start of next season, there are innumerable rumours linking players with a switch to Old Trafford. Chief among these are the links between his current Ajax contingent and his club to be, with defender Nigerian Timber and attacker Anthony the two names appearing the most in the papers. Ten Hag has been in charge of the Dutch Giants though since 2017, so if you cast your minds back a couple of years, you'll be reminded of the first wave of talent he had in Amsterdam. Now, most of these have moved on, and while some are thriving in their new environments, others have had their issues, and one of those is Frenkie De Jong, who moved to Barcelona in 2019 for a fee to date that has totaled €86 million. The 24-year-old has made over 130 appearances in his 3 campaigns at the Camp Nou, and has contributed to 30 goals from his deep-lying midfield position. But not all is rosy for the Dutchman in Catalonia, as despite his seemingly consistent performances, he's often called out as a scapegoat by the media, and at the weekend was subbed off in the 60th minute of their 1-0 loss to Rayo Vallecano, when he stormed straight down the tunnel in anger. When you also take into account Barcelona's incredibly precarious financial situation, Catalonia Radio believe he could well leave this summer. So where better to connect him right now than his former manager Ten Hag, when he takes over at Manchester United this summer. It's no secret that the club are in desperate need of an upgrade on Fred and Scott McTominay in the deep midfield position, whilst their squad is currently set to get thinner, with Nemanja Matic already announcing his departure from the side and Paul Pogba expected to follow. De Jong may be a favourite of Xavi since the Spaniard returned to the club, but is also considered one of their most saleable assets as they strive for some form of long-term financial security. Even then, the Blaugrana anticipate making a loss on their former Ajax star, with the radio station claiming that Barca have set €70 million as the fee they want for the midfielder. If that is the case, then it would represent something of a bargain to Manchester United, especially with the belief that De Jong can hit the form that first shot him to stardom as Ajax reached the Champions League finals back in 2019. But United fans, I want to hear from you. Are you like me, buzzing about this potential transfer rumour? I would love Frenkie at Old Trafford. Let me know in the comments below. Arsenal might be fresh off back-to-back victories against Chelsea and Manchester United, but it's no secret that they're still going to need an out-and-out striker to lead their attack come the summer. Since Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang left for Barcelona in January, Mikel Arteta has been left with Alexandre Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah up front, both of whom are currently set to see their deals expire at the end of the season. And the name at the top of the Gunners' shortlist heading into the summer appears to be Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. The Nigerian is the top scorer for his side in Serie A this campaign, with 12 goals despite them falling away from the title race after no wins in 3 matches. Since his €80 million arrival from Lyon in 2020, the 23-year-old has netted 26 times in 58 matches across all competitions. The reality is, though, it could be higher, with Osimhen having missed almost 40 games in less than 2 years due to injury. Although with no notable injuries before his move to Italy, there is something of a hope that he's not prone to spending time in the physio's room. It's reported by Gazzetta dello Sport that he could be available for the price Napoli paid for him, despite that €80 million being considerably less than the 100 that chairman Aurelio De Laurentiis had said it would take to sign him. And of course, we know that the Italian is a shrewd negotiator. But there is one sticking point, even with Arsenal having made an initial approach with the players' representatives. Unsurprisingly, Osimhen wants Champions League football and won't sign for a club if they aren't in Europe's elite competition. Arsenal currently occupy 4th spot in the Premier League, although considering the inconsistency of those around them, it's far from nailed down, even if they have just beaten 2 of their rivals. We also heard the news this week that Arsenal are very interested in Gabriel Jesus, but it seems like they want a striker to pair with him, and if it's not Osimhen, it could well be Roma striker Tammy Abraham. Arsenal missed out on the opportunity to sign the Englishman from Chelsea last summer. Instead, he made a €40 million switch to Jose Mourinho's side, Roma. The Daily Star say they're set to make a £50 million offer to bring the 24-year-old, who has 24 goals in all competitions, back to London. This transfer certainly could be more realistic than Osimhen. Let's not forget that Tammy Abraham is an Arsenal fan after all. Only Liverpool have picked up more points than Newcastle United in 2022, as the Magpies' win over Norwich at the weekend saw them enter the top half of the Premier League for the first time since October 2020, potentially setting them up for a first top 10 finish since 17-18. And with their newfound spending power, fans can surely legitimately hope for an assault on a European spot next season, with a squad even further strengthened over the summer. One player that Eddie Howe's side seem intent on targeting is Lyon playmaker Lucas Paqueta. Newcastle held an interest in the Brazilian during the last window, and once again he finds himself near the top of their shortlist, in some part thanks to a recommendation from Bruno Guimaraes. The Newcastle Chronicle claim that Bruno has recommended him to the board after the 24-year-old made the same move from Lyon to Newcastle in January for a fee that could rise to £40 million. The Chronicle claim that the club are hoping this relationship with their French counterparts will work in their favour if they choose to move for Paqueta this summer, and it appears the player could also be keen. In fact, reports in France have even suggested that the 31-time capped international has told manager Peter Bosz that he'll make a decision on his future in the summer. Paqueta, who has 8 goals and 6 assists in Ligue 1, might be tied down at the Groupama Stadium until 2025, but an underwhelming Lyon side has left him considering the next steps of his career. The club are currently 8th in France, 5 points and 3 places off a European spot and 7 off the Champions League. The latter especially seems almost impossible now. Only earning a reported 50k a week, it seems unlikely that Paqueta would turn down a big money move to the Premier League, especially after PSG, who were linked with him, have called their interest in the former AC Milan man. Although with Arsenal sniffing around too, maybe the ability to remain in European competition could work against Eddie Howe and co. Regardless, this is one to keep your eye on. It's no secret that Gareth Bale's 9 years at Real Madrid will come to an end this summer. The Welshman has found himself out of favour since 2019, with his game time dwindling year on year, and this campaign has only featured for 283 La Liga minutes. So the question is, where will the 32-year-old be playing his football next season? Whilst the obvious answer is a return to the Premier League, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most likely. In fact, incredibly, Fichajes in Spain are reporting that 2 of the biggest sides currently linked with snapping up the forward are Los Blancos' 2 major rivals, Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. Attack is definitely an area that Diego Simeone needs to improve on, with Luis Suarez expected to depart at the end of his contract and the likes of Mateus Cunha not performing as expected. Bale, of course, has one eye on the World Cup this winter with his beloved Wales, just 1 game away from qualifying for the tournament for the first time since '58. So rather than sitting on the bench at another European club, he might well be interested in more match time, and a potential transatlantic journey could be on the cards, with his representatives reportedly having held talks on a couple of occasions with MLS side DC United. As ever, a reunion with Tottenham Hotspur will almost always be on the cards, with Bale having scored over 70 goals in 200 plus games for them, including back on loan in North London during the 2021 season. There's also talk of a return home for Bale, with Cardiff City also said to be interested in their national hero, with the Bluebirds languishing 19th in the Championship and with a budget nowhere near close to affording Gareth Bale's wages. This one seems far-fetched. But what do you guys at home think? Should he take a monster pay cut and go back to Cardiff, or more likely, should he just go to the MLS for game time? Let us know in the comments. We end this week's Euro transfer talk with Bayern Munich's Serge Gnabry. The winger, who is still only 26, has racked up 168 appearances for the Bavarians and has over a century of goal contributions to his name in 4 seasons at the club. He's turned into something of a key player at the Allianz Arena, with his contract expiring in 2023. You'd think that the club would be moving fast to get him tied down. However, that's not the case. Bayern are unwilling to accept his €15 million per season demands, which works out to close to €300,000 a week. And this, unsurprisingly, has put Europe's elite on alert, although the only team appearing to make any noise about a move for the German international is Spurs, weirdly. According to 442, Antonio Conte is aiming to take advantage of this negotiation standoff between the player and the club and get a cut-price deal for the former Arsenal star. Real Madrid were previously interested in Gnabry and would usually be expected to be the front runners, but are still prioritising the Kylian Mbappe and Antonio Rudiger deals ahead of anything else. And even if those are completed, they may wish to focus on other areas of the pitch instead of adding another attacker to the mix. Now, it's important to note that Bild are reporting that Gnabry and Bayern do remain each other's first choice, but the longer it remains a stalemate, the more likely one of these sides could make a move. Let us know what you thought of the transfer rumours today in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you later.